Warning: the following video may contain content that are not suitable for some audiences. This includes sexual and explicit language. Viewer discretion is advised.
I'm going to give you a brief overview, but then I thought it'd be nice if you guys have any questions you guys have about anything, and then we can fire away and I can answer what you guys have, okay? My voice is going a little bit because I've been talking a lot over the last 2 days. But Halloween Horror Nights 23, we're back. And then I can tell you this, it's a year-round process for us to create this event every single year. And the only challenge we face every year is how do we, A, improve on what we did last year, learn from what may have worked, what didn't work in past years, and improve on that. That's what we're about. We've had a team on this event. I've been working on this event for a long time. Our designers have, so we got a lot of history with how the event has kind of ebbed and flowed and changed over the years, and what we need to do in order to keep it current, keep it terrifying, and make sure that we're providing to our guests and horror fans what they expect to see. And with that, that goes into the way of thinking of how we're creating our slate for the event every single year. Past couple of years, we've kind of, the momentum of the event has kind of shifted a bit into more of the intellectual property realm. IPs like Walking Dead, Resident Evil, Evil Dead, because we're finding just in guest feedback, in marketing surveys, that is something that people really kind of want to see. They want to be immersed in brands that they see on television or in movie theaters or in video games that they play. At the same time, we still don't want to lose the essence of some of the original content that this event started with, how Horror Nights became the worldwide recognized Halloween event in the entire world. We want to make sure we're still populating the event with some original ideas as well. So it's a blend of those two things. So I'll briefly run through some of the intellectual properties we're working with this year and talk to you guys about the IPs. Walking Dead. Walking Dead has officially invaded Halloween Horror Nights. We've got a maze based on Season 3. It's called Walking Dead No Safe Haven. And it's, again, all based on Season 3. So it starts in Woodbury. And you're going to see our facade we built that mirrors the arena that Merle creates. Not Merle, the governor creates. Merle fights him. That's our facade. And it kind of carries you through Woodbury for the first half of the maze. And slowly you open up into an enormous prison yard with a guard tower that leads you into the prisons in the show. Again, like I said before, learning from what we've done in the past. We did Walking Dead last year. And we liked the maze, but we felt that it was constricting because of the environment we placed in it. It was in our disaster queue, which is not a soundstage facility. It has its own share of challenges whenever we're designing in there. So we thought if we're going to do this again, let's bring it over to our parade building. It's a larger space, we have control of the light, control of the audio, we can build bigger sets. So we did that. And when you guys go inside, if you compare last year's maze with this year's maze, it is night and day. The scale is just awesome. The final room in the maze, I'm sorry, spoilers, sorry, but it's cool. I want you guys to make sure you see it. Final room is the cell block. I mean, it's almost to scale where the main characters live and inhabit in the show. So again, it's a night and day maze from what we did last year. We're really happy with it. And that also has kind of infiltrated our street program as well. Walking Dead has basically taken over a large portion of the property of Universal Studios. And we've actually created moments from seasons 1, 2, and 3 that we built. Yes, built decor items again this year. We learned last year. Last year was all about character. We wanted a wide range of characters, but the decor element decreased last year in order to supply us with the amount of costumes and diverse things that we had in last year's program. But we heard people loud and clear. You guys want set pieces. We do too. So we did that this year. We've got the New York section that we turned into Atlanta. We've built a tank. We couldn't actually do a real tank. We tried. But the weight would actually crush the area that we wanted to put it in. So we built a tank from scratch, designed it and built it from the ground up.
I think it built up.
It is
real.
Everybody thinks it's a real tank, and it's not. Completely fabricated. Herschel, we've got Herschel's farm. We built the barn to scale. You can actually walk through it as a guest. It looks as if it's on fire. One of my favorite episodes from season 3 was Clear, where you actually meet Morgan again for the first time in the series since season 1. Those zombie traps, walker traps that he created in that episode we really liked. We've populated our Hollywood area with those. You're going to see the iconic spray paint words that he had all over the textures in the show. We've got in GoPro form lit on all of the walls and all of the sides. So the program is really expanded. And it's the first time for us to actually take intellectual property and apply it to the street zone in its entirety. We've never done that before. So again, we're testing things, we're seeing how things work. And so far, all the response we've heard has been very positive on this street program. Much to the chagrin when we first announced, man, my Facebook page and Twitter page lit up. Oh, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? No. But you know what? I'm getting a lot of responses from people who were very negative at first, but very positive on what we've done. So that can only, I'm happy about that. I'm glad we met expectations. And we're working it every night. We're changing it, ebbing and flowing. Mazes, okay, let's see. Original maze, Afterlife, 3D. We've been very successful in our 3D applications in the past. I think the most successful maze we did with using 3D elements was the in-between. We've been learning along the way. Last year was about Penn and Teller, which was a very comical maze, almost a funhouse type environment. So this year we knew we wanted to do 3D again, but we wanted the story to be a little bit darker. And we've done that. It's called Afterlife, Death's Vengeance. And it follows the story of a serial killer in the town of Cary, Ohio, in the 1920s, 30s. And this is the last day he's going to live on this earth. You actually see him executed and openly seen in real life. And from there on, you're going on to his journey into the afterlife, and where he is actually tormented by the victims that he killed in his life. And you're going on this kind of visual, surrealistic journey into his final moments, that kind of life flashing before your eyes kind of motif is what's going on in there. Really cool aesthetics. I've heard this is probably the most disorienting maze we've ever done, which I think that's a good thing. I think that's what we want. You know, again, what are the different textures that we can apply to every single maze? This one is definitely one where you really have no idea where you're supposed to go, but you do end up on the other side, the dark vortex. We have La Llorona. This maze has turned out much better than I think any of us expected. Hollywood did a brilliant application twice over on our sister park of this legend. I went through both versions and I love them both. I think Murray did a brilliant job with translating this legend. So we kind of had it always on the shelf. It's okay, you know, one day we'll pull it off the shelf and we'll do this. And we found ourselves in that position this year. Let's do it. The challenge for us was how do we tweak and change it and make sure that it's palatable to our audiences here. Because again, the legend isn't as well known here as it is probably in Los Angeles. So we wanted to make sure that if you didn't know about it, it was still equally as scary. As well as the aesthetics in Hollywood's maze were very rustic. The whole maze kind of took on a barn-like quality, wood textures. We did a barn with Walking Dead last year, so we didn't want to do those aesthetics again. So we actually changed the entire back half of the maze, where you enter La Llorona's realm. You literally go into her depths, and you're being attacked by her in this very different looking environment from the front half of the maze. But very, very cool. It is one of the most beautiful tent mazes I think we've done yet. It beats out Nevermore, which was on my list. This was one of the best tent mazes we ever did. And this is right up there, if not maybe a little better than Nevermore as far as the looks. Around Park, Havoc, Derailed. Havoc was an awesome maze we did 3 years ago. I don't know, you guys probably know better than 3 years ago. All right. 3 years ago we did a maze called Havoc. We took aesthetics of these like really crazed super soldiers and that went completely insane inside this government facility, and they tore it apart. Well, when we did that maze, fans loved it and have always asked us to do a sequel. And this year we decided to, but we applied an aesthetic that we've always wanted to do, which was this train aesthetic, where we actually wanted to put guests into train cars. Now, logistically, this is very challenging because a train, in order to get a sense of a train, you have to walk in a straight line. And that's what the maze is. The first 4 rooms of that maze are linear. It's one after the other. That's really the only way you can really nail home that type of aesthetic. The challenge was, okay, how do we still make it a haunted maze? You know, that guests have to kind of weave their way through items. So David Hughes designed the maze, and I think he did a brilliant job in that front half of the maze. And then this is the derailment moment that happens, which is, blinding white light. We're using air bladder bags that kind of like pinball you through a very tight space. And it opens up on the other end, and it's just complete chaos. Train cars on their sides, train cars tipped. You're walking through ones that are kind of upside down. And again, it's applying these characters that everybody loves, and their maniacal actions, gunfire and screams, and they're all shaved heads, including the girls. And the cast is the most insane cast we have here at Harnax. We actually have to tell them to calm down because there's one room that has cages in it. They're literally ripping the cages out of the Tapcom. Literally, there's like 2 guys that they're awesome. We're coming all the way going through, going, hey, you're doing great. You're ripping concrete. He's like, oh, he's like, I didn't even realize it. I'm just going crazy. But yes, we know. But the cast in there is awesome. We're really happy with how that maze turned out. Again, we're working through it. This is our 3rd night with guests going through the mazes, and we're constantly tweaking things. Sound stages. Probably the most impressive lineup in our sound stages I think we've done in a long time. I'll begin with Resident Evil. Huge video game franchise. I'm a gamer. Love that franchise so much. I talked to John Damon. He's one of the producers of Resident Evil. And first time I met him was 3 days ago. We've been conversing in email. The first time I met him was 3 days ago. And really the first thing I said was, hey, love the games, huge gamer. Thank you for letting me fire and walk at the same time. Anyway, top comment we get all the time. But that was all about just bringing that game to life, more so than what we did with Silent Hill last year. On Silent Hill, I think we did a great job with it, but it also was very similar to the film. Because there's a lot of aesthetics that just kind of just matched. So I would not say Silent Hill was a maze where we put you in the game. I think we just did really well with trying to create the environments. Resident Evil maze is kind of a different note here. We've done a really good job, in my opinion, of really kind of transporting you into the Resident Evil game, down to the audio you're hearing. It is the original audio from Resident Evil 2 and 3. We even had to kind of improve the audio because it was from the original PS1 source materials. And in some cases we did, and I kind of wanted to leave it a little bit textured and kind of feel older to give it that retro feel. Color palette's different. One concern we had going into the event was, okay, we've got walkers, and now we're going to do Resident Evil, and there are zombies in the maze. How do we make them feel different? They are different. Their color palettes are completely different from Walking Dead, which is a lot of browns and oranges and really dark greens. Resident Evil is blues and bright blues and bright greens and whites. So they look aesthetically different. And then we're like, how cool would it be if we put items throughout the maze that you have to find as a player playing the game? The lighter, ammo, save point, things like that. Then we said, okay, let's do a pause room where it looks as if the player has paused the game to go get some Mountain Dew, some pretzels. There's a scene right there. Now, they called us out. Resident Evil did call us out, saying, well, when you pause the game, it goes to a menu screen. It doesn't pause the action. I know, but this would be cool. He's like, yeah. So we did that. It's a really cool, almost a horrific museum piece that we've got going on in there. With Leon, he's fallen from a building. Our lighting designer, Mike Rao, who's brilliant. He built this. We actually stole it from. There was a Halo walkthrough. When Halo 3 came out, there was this model walkthrough, and they had guys firing guns, and they used cotton to create the report, the bullet. We're like, we have to do that. Let's try and see if we can replicate that. And we did. We got this awesome gunfire that occurs out the muzzle of the gun, and the bullets just beyond it, and the gunpowder. We used fiber optics to create the gunpowder firing just beyond the bullet. It looks so cool. Hopefully you can see it when you're in there getting scared. But if you can't, take the daytime tour because you definitely see it. So yeah, we did. I felt that was a really good job we did on that, and the response has been very positive on that maze. Evil Dead, the most theatrical maze I think we've ever created. You're literally walking through scenes. We're having these characters actually perform scenes. Yes, are there scares with it? Of course, but you're seeing full tableau moments from that movie. But we got a blood puke room, where we got a girl vomiting on someone else. We got a girl chopping her arm off in the kitchen. The finale is my favorite part. Walking through and it completely opens up. And there's the exact scene from the movie. Jeep overturned, cabin on fire, abomination Mia and chainsaw Mia right there, just battling. It's the coolest visual when you come around the corner. It's my favorite moment, I think, in that maze. Cabin in the Woods. There are films that you watch that we'll watch that immediately we'll pause and say, okay, we got to do that. We have to do this. Now this movie came out a couple years ago. And it's not really a corporate-wise, it wouldn't be an invasion. We go, yeah, we got to do that because it's so current. It's not. It's several years old. The storyline is amazing, and the amount of characters that populate that movie, we immediately attached to it and said, we got to do that. That's just rich with content that we can recreate. And that's probably, that and American Werewolf, I think, are my two favorite mazes from this year. I had to choose two. But that's like picking kids, and I want to do that. The cabin is awesome. It is literally the film. You start the cabin with zombie redneck torture families, and it kind of ebbs and flows into the facility, and we built the elevator room with the elevator doors, floor to ceiling, blood covered completely. It's just gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. We worked with Drew Goddard, who's an amazing guy. He greenlit the treatment. He worked on some of our design elements. He allowed us to put some Easter eggs in there that are from our own past. I'll just tell you this, in the finale, look up. You may see some stuff from the past events. But yeah, it turned out really nice. And it really is the movie. We're walking right through it. And I think the last one I'll tell you about is my favorite maze. The one we're most passionate about is An American Werewolf in London. It's a maze we wanted to do for five years now. And John Landis, who we've grown to be really good friends, would never let us do it. We constantly approached him. And he's like, no, I just don't think it'll work. It will never work. And finally this year, beginning of this year, he allowed us to at least start talking about it. We came here and we kind of pitched some ideas. We showed him how we wanted to do the wolf and the transformation scene, which mirrored many of the things that he actually did on the set. And he let us do it. And the whole time he's like, it'll never work. The entire time he's like, oh, that man, you can do that. I don't understand it. And so we've been like this kind of dual communication and education, where we're kind of educating him how the haunted attraction realm works, and he's kind of educating us on his amazing history and everything he's done, and also telling us some techniques and how we can achieve some of the things that we wanted to do with American Werewolf. And the wolves are the coolest things I think we've had in the last 6-7 years. These wolves, when you see them, it's the wolf. It moves, it acts just like the one in the movie. It's moving, it's completely fluid. We've never done articulated puppets in the event before, but that was the only way we knew if this was going to work, it's the only way we knew we could do it. This couldn't be something in a costume. It couldn't be like the knuckles on characters that we did years ago where they're in a costume and they're bent over. Couldn't be that. It had to be a puppet. And it's cool. It's cool. I can't wait for you guys to see it. And then shows, Bill and Ted's Back. This is the 22nd year for the show. A little spin on it this year is that Jason Horn wrote and directed it. And one aesthetic I told him at the beginning, when he was first starting, is let's make it an actual Halloween adventure. Let's apply some horror aesthetics to it. Down to the opening number and some of the thematics in the show. It has a cabin. It's in the woods. There's teenagers. The opening number is female versions of classic horror icons that may or may not be those icons attacking camp counselors. So yeah, there's all these really cool horror aesthetics kind of sprinkled out throughout the entire show. And then the one we're most happy about that's back is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It went away 3 years ago, and every year we wanted it back. And finally they listened to us and allowed us to kind of have it back this year. And it's just great. The cast in that show is probably one of the best casts that we had the entire run we did before. It's a really strong cast, amazing singers. And it's just fun. If you've never seen the movie, you're going to have no idea what's going on. But it's fun. The music is great. If you've seen the movie, you're going to know exactly what's going on. And yeah, and we watched it last night. It was great hearing people. It's funny how this event starts. Everyone's real timid with that show at first. No one really wants to do the callbacks and talk over the show, even though we're completely for it and expecting it. First weekend, it's always like, Like by the middle and the end of the run, everyone's like, so again, overall, I'm just really happy with what's going on so far. We're still tweaking. You know, there's a critical eye that we have on the event every time we walk through. You know, we're still working it and tweaking it and making it the best it can be. But the response so far has been incredibly positive, and we couldn't be happier. So that's what I got. What do you guys have? What questions you guys have? I know we talked a lot. Sorry. That's
Can we go back to American Werewolf?
Yeah, maybe.
Topic here is animatronics, or is there actually people behind there moving?
People, they're being puppeteered by a person.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. It's
I got reports of that, and people said it's amazing.
It really is. It's incredibly simple. Like I said, we actually used some techniques that Rick Baker used to make that thing kind of be alive on film. But it is puppeteered by a person. They've got literally this steering wheel that they're able to have full articulation from head movement up and down, left and right. They can move that thing forward and back and do all that in combination. And there's a trigger for a pneumatic that lets the jaw when we close. It's moving forward.
People dead and burning blood raining down onto the mask.
Yeah, those last scene we got.
We have cameras, so.
Yeah, there's misters. It's not raining. Like it's not going to be like you're in a downpour. We've got misters and trees that are. You're kind of feeling it. Again, it's an implication. We want to imply that scene. But obviously, that soundstage, the only soundstage is actually set up for that, in essence, are where the Blue Man Group is, the old Nickelodeon soundstages. Those have a huge drainage system because of all that slime and stuff just to get drained down and out. We actually had to do some things to the soundstage for our needs to get people there to work some little water bags that we have. But yeah, it's more of a mist. Yeah. Any questions you guys have? What's that? Oh, the blue box. Mine, maybe? Yeah. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, so I try to put one thing in the event every year. Usually it's more subtle than what we did this year, but it's Piccadilly, so it kind of worked. But we've got a police box in the room from Piccadilly. It's funny, we walked on Lannister, and I was really worried. Like, what is that? Why is that here? I was going to be like, no, it's because it's London. It's fine. It's supposed to be there. But he walked through and he went, Doctor Who. So I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
That's not the biggest experience here?
There are a couple. Yeah, actually, there's one no one's found yet. Yeah. Okay, there's a challenge. It's a Resident Evil. There's one in Resident Evil that nobody's found yet. No one was found. No. The one that people have found is the phone that's ringing in Walking Dead. There's a phone in the prison, and it rings. It'll ring and ring and ring and ring until somebody picks it up. And you pick it up, and you hear Laurie on the other side. But yeah, there's one in Resident Evil that no one's found yet.
Have you ever thought about doing Dead Space homes?
Have you ever thought about doing Dead Space? Yeah, we've thought about it. If it exists in horror right now, it's on our list. It's on our list. There's a lot more on our list that we're thinking about. But again, it's at the beginning of the process trying to decide what is it's going to bring. What do we want to do the most? What do we think is going to be the most recognizable? What's going to be the most present in the event that year? It's a tough process. The choosing of what we're going to do. Some of it is given to us as well, and we're reacting to that sort of stuff. So it's kind of a hand-in-hand between what's marketable and what we think horror fans are going to want to see. So it's like an ebb and flow there.
I know you're a big Halloween fan of Michael Myers.
Yes, sir.
Hollywood did one in 2010.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I was wondering if you ever considered doing one over here.
No, never. Yes, of course. Like I said, our list is very, very long. And again, it's just about choosing what we think is going to be right and what everybody across the board in the company thinks is going to be right for them. Like I said, if it relates to horror even a small way, again, we have a very, very long list of items that we would like to produce at some point in the future and hopefully get the opportunity to. But I can't confirm or deny whether we will be doing it anytime soon. As you and me both. You and me both.
What has happened to the opening ceremonies?
Opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
What has happened to it?
Yeah, what happened?
That's an ebb and flow thing. Honestly, it's kind of what do we think? in working in what's going to be a moment that we think is going to get the most coverage, honestly, I'll be very honest with you, Always Paranoid was designed about media coverage. That's what that was designed for, even in its beginning sense. And I'll never say it'll never happen again, but in its current form right now, everybody's really happy with how this event is marketed. And like what we did last night with we had a huge Q&A last night with John Landis and John D from Capcom, and that went really well. It was the most fun Q&A I've ever been a part of. John Landis is insane. He's the coolest guy. His comments and his answers to the questions were just brilliant. He's a smart dude, and it was just really cool, surreal. But yeah, what's happened to them? They went away for a little bit, but could they come back at some point? Sure. Yeah.
One thing, thanks for taking over the home for West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
I was so jealous of West Coast that they would always have that one guy. It's like the same guy.
Yeah, no, Murdy's done a great job at that. They just kind of handed him the reins to do it. And our public relations department this year were gracious enough to let me kind of take that on this year. And I'm learning. I'm still learning. And you know, when we're busy, it's tough to like go, oh, let me make sure and like, tell people about something. So, you know, you just get in the mode. But that's going to be something we're going to maintain all year. I'm on it from now until they tell me not to do it anymore, I guess.
And the Raccoon City they did in Japan, was that kind of an influence for us here?
No, because actually, I'll be honest with you, when we started the maze, we had no idea that was happening. Yeah, we had no idea that was going on. And then we only found out when actually, before they were set to open, there was a news article that we had seen that talked about the guns and the RFID readouts. I did it while I was out there. I was in Osaka a couple weeks ago. We actually helped create some of the street content for them this year. We're kind of doing a kind of sleepaway camp kind of thing. You know, we're harvesting our guys out there. We're doing bring some people here. We're trying to, you know, it's kind of a worldwide thing now. We're kind of trying things out and see how that works. Patrick Baylor just flew back yesterday from Osaka because he was out there just making sure everything went out okay. But the maze is very cool. It's very cool. Would it work for our current template that we have? No, it's tough. It's very tough. It's pulsed content. We're giving guests weighted handguns. We have to really think about that. So yeah, was it fun? Was it successful out there? Absolutely. It's a very different sort of relationship out there that the guests have with the content.
It's culture.
It is, absolutely. Absolutely.
They're not as violent.
I'm not saying that. Yes, they are. I mean, but they're also. I've never seen people get more scared in my life. I mean, you can literally just go, hey, like, it's amazing. It's amazing. But very, very cool maze. Well designed, well done. But they also had the same sense of 2 and 3. It just felt like the textures there are much more palatable and much more fun. And so it was kind of, you know, great minds think alike kind of thing. Yeah.
When it comes to like the walking and stuff like that, like who contacts you first? Like is it like Universal contacting like AMC or the AMC contacting Universal?
I'll give a more general answer. It depends on the brand. With AMC, we contacted them last year and asked if they would be interested in doing something with us. And then after the event was over, pretty much everybody on the AMC side and on our corporate side said, hey, we got to do this again. This again, like I said a couple nights ago. And this is something that I don't think anybody really thinks about. Walking Dead is an anomaly. That show is an anomaly. 14 million viewers a week watch that hour-long program. There isn't another show on television right now that's getting 14 million viewers in that type, especially a horror-themed show. That's unheard of. And that probably, I will be the first to say I was wrong, but I don't think that will ever happen again. Honestly, with a horror-branded show with 14 million viewers. If you break that down, that's more than any horror film these days. If you break the numbers down, how many people are viewing it. It's a huge, huge number. So yeah, we went to them the first time, and then it was just them saying, hey, you know, we want to do this again. But the Lionsgate, we went to them, we asked them if we could. American Werewolf, we asked them. Resident Evil, we asked them. Yeah, this year's a lot of us going to them. It's not always been that way. It's not always been that way. In fact, as of this year, now in Lionsgate, Sheila Johnson, who's our representative with them, came to us last night and said, hey, I got ideas for next year or the year after that we can talk about. So again, it's all about establishing relationships, figuring out how we want to move the event forward. But we've just officially hit the reset switch on our process as of last night. So I've lived in this capacity since, as far as overseeing everything, for 5 months, which was when we were first actually developing everything. So it's a reset switch on our event where we can start breaking new ground on how we want to change this event, how we want to apply our creative moving forward. So everybody's really excited, and we're happy with the content. And I hope you guys enjoy it tonight. And I appreciate you being here. And if you have any questions, further, I'm on Twitter, just ask me.
You're going to answer as a R9 or
No, I'll answer as my all right. Yeah, I got my own Twitter thing too. You can find that if you want. But that's boring. Pictures of food I eat. But cool. And thank you guys so much for being here. Enjoy yourselves tonight, and I'll see you guys around. All right? Thank you.
I don't remember that one.
Ironic, we're pointing at it, stop
Probably better zoom out. You were the point man.
Yeah. Save up the memory.
So,
What a dead body smell like? I mean, not that I know. Trust me, I know
Survivor. Survivor.
Trust me, I know what a dead body smells like. Really a lot worse. They would scare people off from away from the area.
Oh, last night there was a horde coming after me and him, literally.
Really?
Yeah, like a small horde. Yeah, they didn't do that. That was pretty awesome. You get a lot of attention. I've gotten a couple.
He's so scared. We'll bring your kid here.
Doesn't smell right. It doesn't smell dead. It smells kind of like it's dog doo-doo. Musty. I know, there was a couple of old people. Well, like one time we pulled over to the side to see a dead gator. He's still whatnot. He's taken out like illegally. And my God, that thing's like close to the window. I like how the fireball's way closer this year.
Ooh, a buzz. Film me. Turn up. Ooh. At least I got the fireball.
At least I got the fireball close.
I'm getting some pretty good footage. Do I hear chainsaws?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's some pretty good music. I hear me a chainsaw.
Hope nobody gets scared and actually goes over. Hopefully nobody gets scared and goes over into what you're doing. At least they're males this time. I don't know why the last year with the female chainsaws didn't work out.
They had a blast.
They didn't scare us. The only time that I got scared was when they came in the bushes when we were
I hear chainsaws, but I just don't see them.
Okay, guys, we're in charge.
He doesn't Oh, they're leaving.
leaving?
They're going that way, I mean, those guys.
I like it when the first time.
See one. See a couple. Chainsaw. Came right at my legs, man. That wasn't cool. Actually, it was pretty awesome.
Damn, it's your doppelganger. He just appeared.
What is that? Oh yeah, that rock.